This piece is the Merovingian fibula. So let's start off actually with context. So the history, the cultural stuff behind this, and then we'll move up to content in just a minute. So a fibula, first of all, and you have all the vocab on the screen in front of you, just so that we can talk about it in context. A fibula is a pin or a clasp, like a brooch, that you would wear on your clothing. And in fact, fibula basically was made popular in the Roman military days. And it would hold like a cape in place. You might see a fibula clasped around the shoulder or so, holding clothing basically in place. And these types of fibulas were found and made very popular in the Middle Ages, the time period we're in here, in the barbarian groups. So all the different barbarian groups. And remember, barbarians mean basically at the time non-Roman. They were nomadic, so wandering place to place. Pretty illiterate groups of people, but they were taking over different parts of the Roman Empire. And so these kinds of pins, these fibulas, were very popular in these barbarian groups. And the different fibulas that you would find, they represent these different barbarian groups. So while the pin or clasp would have similarities between different groups, so like the Visigoths maybe in the north would have fibulas that looked a very particular way. And then down in another group, maybe south, you'd have a different barbarian group who would have a fibula style of their own. And so they kind of represent different groups by how they look. And they would also represent the individual wearer, like the patron of the particular fibula. So not only did they vary by groups, different barbarian groups, but they varied by the individual patron who had it made for him. These fibulas were commonly found in barbarian grave sites. And so this particular one that you're seeing was found in a Visigoth grave. And Visigoth is spelled Visigoth. So found in a Visigoth grave. And not much is known about barbarians. Not much has been written about them from that time period. So we kind of utilize what we know about them. We utilize these fibulas, and that helps us to kind of give us information. But we believe that they're definitely images and objects of status and power, and that they were representing different ideas that definitely come from the Roman Empire too, and reflect a little bit of Christianity potentially as well. We'll take a look and talk about the different symbolism in this one too. But before we do that, let's talk some about the technique. Cloisonne, which is a term up on the screen, is when you basically take these semi-precious stones or precious stones, in this case, most of them are garnet, that red stone, and you inlay them and join them basically to the art piece with metal. And so it's a metalworking term, kind of very similar to repoussé. Repoussé and cloisonné are metalworking terms, but cloisonné is when you're joining precious stones together into the art piece with metal. And then the other vocab term I wanted to go over with is filigree, which is this really delicate, intricate wire work or metal work that you find in jewelry, very decorative. And you can see that all over the fibulas, the two fibulas we have here, really small, just delicate, intricate wire work. And the barbarian artists were amazing at this kind of art in the Middle Ages. And then the one last term of vocab is gilt, G-I-L-T, is when you cover an object in a thin layer or you paint it in a thin layer of metal. And that's usually referencing gold or silver. Silver gilt, gold gilt. And this one definitely has the gold for sure, and silver as well. So that's our context. Again, found in a grave site. They come from the Roman era where they'd have pins or clasping holding the military capes and clothing together. and that the fibulas kind of vary according to the types of barbarian groups who are making them, and also vary by the individual patron who's having it made. So now let's go up to content. And content, just going to take you through a few things that you are visually seeing in the image. One of those things is on the top, and that would be the eagle's head. Let me see if I can get the drawing here. It's not working here for right now. That's all right. But on the top, you have these eagle's heads. They're very abstract eagle's heads that are seen. And eagles are definitely a symbol of power and authority. And it really does come from like the classical areas of Greece and Rome. And there where eagles were a pagan symbol of the sun. So let me spotlight here what I'm talking about. There we go. And later on, they become a Christian symbol for a saint named Saint John. So it is definitely chosen by the patron to represent power. And it has been something that has represented power in many different cultures, and specifically a pagan symbol of the sun. So that's one image that you're seeing there. Another thing that you are going to see as the eagle is repeated a little bit lower in the image. I'm trying to show you that. It's just not letting me scroll down there. But a little bit later down you have, there it is, the other eagle's heads. Again, abstract stylized eagle's heads. And again, another symbol of power. The gold is a symbol of power also in the image. You have a fish in the center, and that could be, there we go, another animal that you see just directly over. There it goes. On both sides, you have a fish that's vertical with the head kind of facing down there. Could that be a Christian symbol? It is common that you might have that in Christianity as a symbol of Christ, Christ's miracles. That's a possibility, absolutely. But another animal symbol on there, and that could represent a more Christian association there for sure. Not as much of a power image, but definitely you could say a Christian association with that. The only other things I would say in content is that you have just these jewels throughout, these various colors, these shiny reflective jewels. Definitely when a person would be wearing it with the gilt aspect of it, with a layer of gold or silver, very reflective, very shiny, very uncommon materials, rarer materials, and it all then would reflect the power of the ruler. And then we imagine like a ruler would wear one of these. And then the intricacy of the design, that filigree work within the pieces, would also convey the status of the wearer, because not everyone would be able to have enough clout and status to have this made for them. So again, worn by then a wealthy patron and then found in the grave site. So we don't have a lot to talk about in terms of content and context, but those are the items of the things that you need to know. So I would say for function, it's definitely power, absolutely power of the wearer. And then for formal qualities, you definitely can use shapes, the stylized shapes of the eagles there representing the power, that association of the sun, and the symbolic reference to power is definitely one thing that helps to convey power. You could also do pattern, that pattern work of the filigree, that intricacy of design really helps to convey power as well. So that's about it with the Merovingian fibulas. And again, a great power image, a great piece of jewelry, small piece of art, but mighty in its conveying of power of the wearer.